Hey there, it's Mandee Montana. Are you taking great care of your skin? You know I use great products. I take my vitamins and I drink plenty of water, but I could be better about applying sunscreen daily and making sure my skin is protected against premature aging. What about you? Well, I've got great news. I have a solution. It's the new Premium Diamond Glow Treatment at Hand and Stone Massage and Facial Spa in Tyler. I love it. I went recently and it exfoliates and hydrates your skin at the same time. Amazing, right? My skin feels so soft and silky after. You have to try it. If you've never had a facial before, they have different options at Hand and Stone, like hydrating and brightening. But if you're struggling with dark spots, hyperpigmentation, sun damage, sallow skin, enlarged pores, or maybe oily skin, this is the treatment for you. If you want your skin to glow and look and feel amazing, book the Diamond Glow. Schedule now by visiting Hand and Stone Massage and Facial Spa in the Cumberland Shopping Center in Tyler or online at handandstonetyler.com. Welcome to the Celebrating Women podcast, hosted by Mandee Montana, a podcast that celebrates women, their stories, their struggles, and ability to overcome. Conversations that celebrate their gifts, their talents, and courage. It's the Celebrating Women podcast, presented by Hand and Stone Massage and Facial Spa in Tyler, Texas. With over 20 massage therapists and 6 estheticians certified and trained in multiple protocols, you can get an affordable massage or facial located right here in the East Texas area. Book your appointment today. Stop by the spa in the Cumberland Shopping Center in Tyler or online at handandstonetyler.com. Welcome back to the Celebrating Women podcast. I'm Mandee Montana with my special guest today, Jessica Domingos. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
I am so excited that you made time for me this week because we just connected.
We did.
And I felt like a pretty deep connection.
Yeah, we got deep pretty quick. We just had that connection, and that happens a lot to me.
It does for me too. So just quick backstory on how we met. We were briefly introduced a few weeks ago, but I got to know Jessica a little bit better when she shared her story at a junior league meeting that I attended this week. And you are the executive director, is that correct?
Co-founder and executive director of the Evie Effect. Sure.
I was just so moved by your story. And of course, your husband, Michael, shared a little bit too. And you're talking about your organization. The Junior League is partnering with you this year, which is kind of how this all happened.
That's exciting.
And we're excited too. And you have interesting projects and where we can partner with you. We like working with the big groups too, but they often have other funding sources. So
right.
When there's new nonprofits that are doing something really special, it's meaningful for us to help you.
As a small nonprofit, it's everything when an organization like the Junior League believes in us, believes in our mission, and wants to walk with us. It's life-changing for us.
Well, we're excited to do it. So tell us a little bit about the Evie Effect.
Well, in 2019, Michael and I lost our 12-year-old daughter, Evie, to suicide. And she really struggled with mental health, suicidal ideation. She had social anxiety and depression. And we tried the whole year of 6th grade to help her. Lost that battle in May of 2019. So we're coming up on the 6th-year anniversary of that, which feels like a really long time. But we realized through our grieving journey that people need hope. And Evie had lost hope. She couldn't see past school issues, bullying, having to possibly repeat the 6th grade, having to retake the STARS test. She just couldn't see past that moment beyond that and struggled with so many things. Body dysmorphia, everything. And it was such a struggle for her. We were not equipped to deal with that. Nobody trains you how to deal with that. Like, it's not something you learn growing up. It wasn't something we were taught how to deal with mental illness or anxiety. It's not something we're taught. So how do you teach your kid how to regulate their emotions or to manage those thoughts? We're not even taught really stress management growing up. And so we realized, wow, we were not equipped to deal with what was put in front of us and couldn't give her the help she needed, but maybe we could give the community that help.
Right.
So we started with small acts of kindness and built from there. We were in Flower Mound when Evie died, and that's where we lived when we started the nonprofit. But we started the nonprofit in June and moved to Tyler in November. So, and then of course got a whole new board of directors because they thought, well, you need local Tyler people. And we moved here to get close to family, to be closer to my mom, to our daughter Lauren, and our grandchildren. And it was probably the best thing we did for our nonprofit, for ourselves, for our family. And so that's our origin story. And we've just grown since then. We don't even have the same name. We realized we needed a rebrand to better suit what we do. So we did that. Now we're the Evie Effect. We started as Tiny Evie Rocks because Evie was Tiny Evie.
Oh,
Michael and I, yours, mine, and ours. And she was the ours. And she was younger. And so she was known as Tiny Evie. So that's how we started.
I love that nickname.
Yeah, it was cute. But no, yeah, we had to evolve.
Yes.
As we do as people, as nonprofits do, you have to evolve. You figure out what the community needs and you go from there. And so we're constantly trying to figure out what people need and evolving and trying to meet that need in whichever way seems appropriate for us.
And so I want to hear more about your personal journey too, because I think you're just a really interesting woman. And I want to know how you got to the point where you're like, I'm going to take my grief and turn this into something beautiful and offer hope for others, because that's really powerful. But tell me just very briefly a little bit about what you're doing now with the Evie Effect. I think at the Junior League meeting, you said that you're doing a workshop.
We created our own workshop this year for suicide prevention. It's called Holding Space. Part of what we realized when going through a suicide loss was that people can't hold space for suicide. They don't know how to deal with mental health and suicidal ideation. So let's train people.
Right.
And built that around that premise of holding space for people. How do you make it about them? Because it can't be about you. It can't be. They're the ones struggling. It's not about your beliefs. It's not about what you think they should do, what you think's going to fix them, because you can't fix somebody.
Right.
So it has to be 100% about them, and you got to listen. You have to hold that space and then know what to do and how to connect them, how to have that conversation. And talking about that in a workshop is just so meaningful.
It is.
And I'm seeing your face when I'm telling you, like, it's about the other person. But when you have a workshop full of people and you say that, something clicks and they're like, oh. And it's usually, oh, I screwed up. Because they're thinking of something that happened, some conversation they had, and they're realizing, I didn't make that about that person.
Well, I think, when you talk about what we're taught and what training we have, we're trained to solve problems. That's what they teach us in school. I mean, essentially, whether it's solving math problems or language problems, you're doing that constantly. So when someone brings you something that they're hurting, the natural inclination for a lot of us is to try to solve the problem. And the thing is, it's not our problem to solve.
It's not your problem to solve. You can help somebody. You can listen. You can care about them, have empathy. But you can't fix that for them. You can connect them with resources, but they have to do the work. They have to want to be here still. So you have to help them find hope. But now you can't fix it for them, and you can't carry it for them.
Yeah.
I think that's been one of my hugest lessons and hugest things that I had to learn how to have the boundary of leaving it there. So when you have that conversation, I can't carry your weight with me. I can love you. I can listen to you. I can help you in whatever way possible that I'm able to, but I can't carry it for you. We all have to carry our own.
So what led you to say, I'm going to turn my grief into hope for others? What about your background or your experience or your development as a person made you say, I'm going to take this and do more with it?
Hey friends, it's Mandee. Have you ever wished for a protein drink that's light, refreshing, and crystal clear? Well, the wait is over. Zingular's Clear Protein Plus is finally here. with 20 grams of grass-fed whey protein isolate, 0 artificial sweeteners, and powerful digestive enzymes, this isn't your typical protein shake. It's clean, smooth, and easy on your stomach. Plus the flavors, blue raspberry and frosted lemonade. So good you won't even believe it's protein. I love how refreshing and hydrating it is, especially after a workout or a busy day. No fillers, no bloat, just clean, high-quality protein. Want to be one of the first to try it? Order now by clicking the link in show notes. Zing with Mandee. Subscribe and save to snag 10% off on this and all future subscription orders. Plus, use my code ZINGWITHMANDEE, all one word, to save $10 off your first order. It's all in the show notes. That's Zing with Mandee, XYNGWITHMANDEE. Zing with Mandee to save $10 off your first order. Click the link in show notes. Don't miss out on hitting those daily protein goals. The future of protein is clear.
I never thought I'd be a leader. I never thought I'd run a nonprofit. I thought I was just going to work in a corporate job as a workhorse because, I can produce some work. But it was 2 days after Evie died, and I just looked up to the sky and said, if you don't give me purpose through this, I'm not going to make it. I wanted to go where she was. And I was having suicidal thoughts for the first time in my life. And felt that push of purpose and was like, I'm going to lay it out for you. Just keep doing something. And so, yeah. And I just kept doing the next thing. And even when we were starting our nonprofit and figuring out what that was going to look like, it was never in my mind that it just didn't click with me. I'm going to lead something big. Mm-hmm. Although I dreamed big, I don't think it clicked how big this is, because this is a big deal. Mm-hmm. We're not a huge nonprofit, but we're growing. Every year we grow bigger and do more things. Maybe we're bigger than I think.
Well, your mission is big.
Our mission is big, and we do some big things.
Yes.
One of the things we do is throw a huge rock concert every year that's completely free for the community called Evie Rocks Tyler. That's big. We had 1,500 people throughout the day last year.
That's really big.
That's really a big deal.
Yeah, it is.
And getting on stage in front of all those people and saying, hey, man, I've been through something really bad. And you're going through stuff, but I'm still standing. You can be too. Mm-hmm. But did I think I would be here? Did I know when I said, oh, let's start a little cute little nonprofit, that I'd be standing on stage talking to people, telling my story, or being on podcast or the news? No. None of it was even in my mind. I just went on faith that that's what I was supposed to do. And I clearly had a message of move towards purpose or be shoved.
That's heavy.
It is heavy.
I need to sit with that one for a minute. Say it again.
Move towards purpose or be shoved. And sometimes your purpose is small. It doesn't have to be big. You don't have to do something giant. You don't have to start a nonprofit with what you've gone through. Mm-hmm. You don't have to write a book. You don't have to talk to people on TV or, or any of that, but doing something purposeful, even if that's just changing your mindset. Maybe it's being trained in suicide prevention, joining a group and helping somebody or volunteering. It could be small, but finding purpose through what you've gone through, man, it's powerful. Mm-hmm. It's life-saving. It was for me.
When you sort of acknowledged that you knew that you had to have purpose and you needed to move forward, what was that initial step that you took was it founding the nonprofit, or was it recognizing that you wanted to give others hope, or what was that first step?
Literally when I said, I've got to have purpose. You've got to give me purpose through this. That was probably the beginning of it, but we waited a few weeks before Evie's memorial. And at her memorial, we had people bring kindness rocks. And I don't know if you know about the Kindness Rocks movement that was started by Megan Murphy, but now there's like 4,600 rock groups worldwide, and they're active. Like, it's still a big movement. But I had never heard of Kindness Rocks. And 2 different families brought rocks to her memorial. And I still have them. And it was like the next day or two, I was sitting there and I was like, I got to paint a rock right now. Like, it's not an option. So I went into the backyard, got this tiny little rock, like 1/2 inch little oval rock, painted a heart on it, and went and hid it in a tree. It was something to do because I was like sitting around staring at the walls saying, what if, why, where did I go wrong? What if I had just done this? And it was something else to do. And then I had to paint another one. And then I was like, we got to go get some rocks. And then my daughter started helping. And then like a week later, Mike was like, I'm going to paint with you. And he didn't know he had any talent, but he does. And that was the people bringing those rocks was the catalyst to the nonprofit, because we had nothing else to do during COVID but paint together. You couldn't go anywhere. You couldn't visit people. So it was our household. And also new friends from across the street who took really good care of us. I don't know what we would have done without them. But we all sat around painting together, and then we go hide them. And in bucketfuls. You would get a basket or bucket, you would fill it with the painted rocks. And if you were having a bad day, the question was, do you need to hide some rocks? The act of doing that, like you painted something, it's got a beautiful message on it. I had turned my Instagram into Tiny Evie Rocks. So I would take pictures of them hidden, and then people would find them and send us a note. Sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes. And I was always doing hearts or semicolons to remind people their story's not over. And then, you know, it's on those hard days. I just remember Michael being like, hey, do you need to go hide some rocks? And I was always like, well, let's grab 50 rocks. And you're carrying these heavy things. And as you're hiding them,
You're
the
lightening
bucket,
your load.
you're lightening your load. And at the end of that, you're talking while you're walking. You're getting exercise. You're doing something kind. You're lightening your load. And it was so therapeutic. And also when you're sitting around a table painting together and talking about your grief, I think we processed our grief in a way that other people don't.
Right.
It was a creative processing, because if you're doing something creative and talking, it accesses a different part of your brain. And so doing that was so therapeutic, almost an EMDR kind of feel.
Yeah.
You know, it transformed our grief into 20,000 rocks of kindness.
20,000?
Oh, we've painted over 20,000 rocks.
Jessica.
They are all over the world. Egypt, Japan, Paris, London, Kauai.
Tell me how they got all over the world. Did you travel? Or did you ship them? Or did people find them and take them other places? Or variety?
Yes. Friends across the street were going to Kauai. And then they, you know, traveling with rocks, you know, in your bags are being x-rayed, right? Everybody having to pull out the rocks and go, here's what these are. Like, it's not something bad. They're like, what are these masses in your, why is your bag so heavy? Like, I'm just like, hey, take it on as carry-on. But just from people saying, hey, I'm going on this trip. Can I have a rock to take with me? We had one rock. Our friends across the street, my friend Deanna, she does women's retreats. And they're amazing. She's an amazing person, but she said, can I take some rocks with me? We're going to do a retreat in Arizona. And who would have known how that turned out? Because I got a video from somebody that said, look at this rock. And it was a semicolon rock that I painted that said, your story isn't over. It made it somehow onto the top of a mountain with no trails going to where she was. And she went up to that mountain and was not planning to come down.
Oh, wow.
She went to go see her last sunset and found that rock and took a video of it and said, look, there's no trails. And it was high up there. And she's still here today. And I treasure that video because, wow. And that story, it's so, how did that rock get there? And those, like, the next week, our friends Deanna and Mike came down, and we were all sitting at the movies. We're waiting for the movie to start, and I was like, hey, I gotta tell you this story. It's pretty cool. And she said, what color's that rock? Let me see that rock. And I showed it to her. She goes, I hid that rock in a cactus. I'm like, how? Well, how did it get to the top of the mountain? She goes, I don't know, but that's my rock. Wow. I go, well, you saved somebody's life because you put that there. And it made its way up there. But how? I may never know how.
Some kind of divine intervention, even if it was a human.
Sure.
There was clearly some divine intervention that was going on there.
Thus the Evie Effect.
Now I understand the name.
Right. Because doing one thing can change somebody's life. You don't know how.
Completely.
You may never know that it did.
Right.
But wow. So, long story short, the rocks were the catalyst for the nonprofit. The first anniversary of her death, we hid 656 rocks in all of the places that we had taken her in Dallas-Fort Worth. Painted their logo on a rock, put a message on the back, hid it at the yogurt shop, replicated 13 pieces of her art onto rocks and hid them at the Dallas Museum of Art in a tree. Got a message from a family saying, hey, we took them all and we're going to protect them for the rest of our lives.
Oh, how beautiful.
So she has her little museum somewhere in someone's house on rocks. We got a lot of messages back and just looked at each other and said, hey, we could do more. And so we started it and then moved. And then the right people fell into our path. And always on my journey through this, whether it's somebody lifting me up, somebody that knows how to do something that I want to make happen, somebody that needs to be on the board for support, for ideas, for help, or just a message from somebody, it's always happened. It's always been laid out before me.
You don't have to look for it. It just shows up.
Yes. It's big. And so if I have an idea like a suicide loss retreat, which the Junior League believed in that project and said, write your grant for this. So I did. That's big. Throwing a retreat's a big deal, but I never had a doubt that if I wanted to do that, that the right people would be put in my path. So an entire group of people has been put in my path to help, and then people to help do activities at that retreat, those retreats that are the right people that can make a difference in those people's lives that attend. So it just planned itself. I just don't have any fear that I can make it happen or whatever comes next.
Have you always had these instincts?
I would say there's a difference between going through life and living your purpose. And if you're truly living your purpose, things are going to work out. If you're fighting trying to do something that's not your purpose, I could go do something else, right?
Yeah, you could do other things to make an income.
I can make an income.
Right.
I don't want to. I can't do that and be okay anymore. I'm not the same person I was. And I think throughout my life, I was always searching for who I was. And it never really clicked. I was never confident in who I was. And tried a lot of things. Failed at a lot of things. And didn't follow through on a lot of things. And I remember the first time I really followed through on something, and it was when I was in my 40s, and I went back to school, and I'd always wanted to go to the Art Institute of Dallas. from the time I was 18. I was like, I want to go here, but it didn't work out. And so in my 40s, I went back to school, and I was going to Brookhaven Community College. And our institute was there one day, set up a table. I looked at them, and they looked at me, and I think they knew we should have a conversation. And I was actually making A's for the first time in my life.
That's fun.
Yes, I didn't know I could.
Yeah.
But when you really want to do something, you figure out how to do it. So I had to take a lot of classes. I had to take a lot of math classes to get up to the college level. And I was taking biology for science majors and getting an A. And I was like, who is this person? And my family was going through a lot at the time, but I was like, I've got to go get a degree and do something more, because I can go get a job as an assistant at $10 an hour, but my family needs me to do something more. And I need to do something more for me, because there's got to be more to me than the status quo. And so I'm standing there looking at the table at the Art Institute, and they're like, hey, come talk to us. And they pulled up my transcripts and said, you have a lot of art credits. And I said, I have a lot of failed classes too. And they said, but you have a lot of art credits. Why aren't you coming and talking to us? And I'm like, well, I just don't think you're going to accept me. And they're like, let's make an appointment. I filled out an application, went at their office, and got in. I wanted to go for fine arts. That's what I had originally wanted to when I was 18, but they don't have that anymore. Everything's digital art now.
True.
So I got a photography degree and found a new form of art that I absolutely love, and graduated with honors.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
That's amazing.
I never thought I would have done that. But I think that was the moment that, standing there with the gold rope, with my graduation gown, and I didn't tell my mom, and she walked in the door and was like, what? Really? And I'm like, surprise.
Yeah.
I worked really hard for that. I mean, you're not just taking photography classes. You have to take all of your basics. I had to take college math, and I always thought I was bad at math, but I wasn't. I just needed to sit in the front row. I needed to ask questions. I had to get comfortable being uncomfortable to do well. Mm-hmm. Because growing up, I sat in the middle of the classroom and just tried to blend in and not be asked questions, not be seen, just kind of stay under the radar. I would study 5 times as hard as everybody else, but still fail. It's just, I'm a hands-on person. That's why photography was perfect. I had to do good at the other classes too.
But you had a new purpose and motivation.
I did. And I did it for me. Mm-hmm. I wasn't there because I had to be there.
Right.
I was there because I wanted to be there. I was going to my dream school. I was doing something really cool. And then I really think that was the beginning of me being okay being uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. Because I've done a lot of uncomfortable things. It's uncomfortable to go on live TV. They can't edit that.
I've done it too. It is uncomfortable.
I cried on live TV when they're asking me about Evie. And so when anybody comes and sees me at an event, or they'll tear up if we're talking, I go, hey, it's okay. I've cried on live TV. You know, it's like, it's all right. It's okay. So being uncomfortable. Yeah. I've had to learn how to talk to people. I've had to learn how to ask for money.
That's a tough one for a lot of people.
It is. It's so hard to learn if you're not used to that. It just takes practice. But yeah.
And purpose, too.
Yes.
You have to believe that you're asking for something, what you're asking for someone has value, that there's a value exchange.
Right.
There's a deep belief that I'm asking you for this gift, this monetary gift, and I'm going to take it and I'm going to do something really special and powerful with it. It's going to affect a lot of people.
Yeah.
So that's one of the big things with nonprofits. If you don't have like that deep, true belief, in what you're asking for, it comes across. And then it makes it harder because
Right.
people are like, oh, she's just asking me for money.
Right. But why? But what's your why?
What's your why? Yeah.
Well, my why is I don't want other people to go through what I went through.
Right.
Or if they are going through it, I want to give them hope that they can get to the other side and let them know they're not alone.
Yeah.
To pass on Evie's legacy of kindness. She was such a kind person. Man, she would find the person that needed a friend, that was awkward, that just needed somebody to care about them, and she would befriend them. And I'm going to pass that on. Everybody needs to know they're loved and valued. And I have a deep love for people.
I see that. I feel that. I felt that when I met you. It was interesting because we met in passing. We share a friend, Lisa Pulliam,
Yes.
who's been on the podcast before. And she introduced me to you, but it was at a chamber event. I think it was maybe a month or two ago. And then as soon as I saw you at the junior league office, I was like, I know this woman. I've seen this beautiful face before. Who is she? And then Melissa, our provisional chair, introduced you in the Evie Effect. And she had been so excited about it, Jessica. I have to tell you that. Leading up to the meeting, she kept telling me, I've got the Evie Effect coming. It's Evie Rocks. You've got to come check it out. And I'm so excited that our league members are going to get to hear from them. And it was kind of going in one ear and out the other because I've had a lot going on. But I was like, the Evie Effect. Okay, the Evie Effect. But then when I heard you tell your story, I was sitting in the back of the room and I had my hand on my heart and I was choked up and I was so moved because I think most people have experienced grief in some form or fashion.
Yeah.
Or experienced someone who is truly struggling. And if you haven't been in a situation where you're with someone who's truly struggling and you don't know what to do, I know you know. That feeling of helplessness is it's gut-wrenching.
It is.
It's so, so difficult. And I've been there with family members and with friends. I lost a friend to suicide in 2012. And going through that, especially initially when I found out, my poor husband, he was my boyfriend at the time, he didn't know what to do with me. He took me to his mom. Which I felt that. I look back and I'm like, that is such a man thing to do. Like, take the girl to your mom. Like, who is going to nurture this person? I'm taking her to my mom. And I didn't know his mom that well at that time.
But he cared enough to take you to somebody.
Yes, he was doing everything he could because I was just so distraught.
Yeah.
It was shocking. It was not, I had no idea. I never thought she would do anything like that. And then he called his best friend's wife, who I did know pretty well at that point, and was good friends with her. And she was probably the best example of holding space. She just showed up with sushi. She knew I liked sushi. She just sat next to me.
Wow.
She just sat there.
Yeah.
And I would say things like, oh, I probably need to call this person and let them know, or I need to talk to this person. And she would say, okay, I'll be right here. And she'd let me make the phone call, and she just held space.
Right.
I'm sure I told her that night, thank you. But in the years since, I have reflected on that moment so many times because it meant so much to me that she was just there.
Yeah.
She didn't really do anything.
But it was life-changing.
It was.
I can see that.
It was, yeah. It was really tough. So I think what you're doing is really beautiful and powerful.
Thank you.
Because more people equipped to just listen
Yeah.
is a better world.
Yeah.
So when is your workshop?
April 23rd.
Okay, I thought so. I was like, I think it's in April. Because
There's
I
always
went
one
to your
going
website.
on. There's one in July.
Okay.
We'll be scheduling some more. And we can always put a group of people together.
Yeah.
I custom made a workshop for Children's Village
Okay.
for foster care. You know, foster children go through a lot.
they do.
And so their grief, their trauma is unique to them. And so putting a workshop together for that community where we can talk about statistics and talk about the unique grief that those kids go through and how to hold space for them specifically and how to take care of yourself as a foster parent, or there they have cottage parents and they keep siblings together there. And it's so
That's beautiful.
amazing what they do. And such a gift for me to be able to go talk to them. And they have me come back every year. But this year I was able to customize a workshop for them and prepare them in case something ever does happen, what to do. So I love doing that and love to do that for more organizations because there's so many different unique sets of people that, you know, statistics are different for all kinds of demographics, and knowing how to have those conversations are so important. And how to take care of yourself through it.
Yes.
Encouraging help-seeking behavior to the people you're trying to help and having it yourself. And that's really part of it too, is, hey, what if you're the one struggling?
Yeah.
Let me just advocate for you to get help, and don't be scared to get help. And people don't realize 80% of people that go talk to somebody about what they're going through don't need help beyond that.
Right.
They don't need to go to crisis care.
Right.
So we could teach the community how to have those conversations. How many lives could we save?
Yeah. I have been hoping and praying for an organization like this for so long. I had a conversation with a colleague, it's probably been about 5 or 6 years ago, and one of the things he asked me was, like, if you had like unlimited resources, if you could do whatever you wanted to do, what would you throw yourself into?
I love that question.
It was a great question.
It's an awesome question.
And I would want to be an advocate for mental health and help people understand that there's not a stigma.
Yeah.
And that it's a really beautiful thing. And just like we need to take care of our physical bodies, we need to take care of our emotional and mental self too. Like, that wellness is just as important as getting a physical checkup each year. We don't do a mental checkup each year. We should probably do it more often than that even. But, you know, that's like encouraging that type of behavior so that we don't get into a situation where we feel hopeless.
Right.
Where we're constantly taking care of our mental well-being. So anyway, when I met you and the more that we've talked, you've just really resonated with me. And so any way that I can help tell people about you, for example, having you on the podcast, or just in passing, introducing you to people that I know that are like-minded, I want to. That's what I can do now because I don't have unlimited resources.
But that's the biggest gift.
But I can help you network.
Networking is a huge gift. I just appreciate you having a conversation with me.
Oh, likewise.
And asking me about myself.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah. Is there anything that you haven't shared? Because I do want to know about Jessica.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've got to hear a lot about Evie and the Evie Effect and that journey. And that's, you know, how we met. So that makes sense. But you studied photography.
Yep.
You found that, well, you now have an arts degree, which is really special. You graduated with honors. And it sounds to me like, I don't know if you've put this together. I'm sure you have. But you did use it. You told me earlier off mic that you didn't use your photography degree, but you created an Instagram account.
Yeah.
And you took a lot of pictures on that Instagram.
I took a lot of photos. Yes.
So that's a really beautiful expression.
I think the process of getting a degree in photography and just that creative outlet and then the rock painting and the creativeness of that, I think I bring that creativity into everything that I do. I love creative brainstorming. So when somebody comes to me and says, I can't figure this out, I'm like, let's talk about it. Like, have you thought about this? And so that creative brainstorming with people, it's just, I'm so passionate about that. I think if I wasn't doing a nonprofit anymore, I would just be a creative strategist. Just going and having conversations with people and helping unlock the creative part of their problem. I just love that. It just gives me so much joy. And so occasionally I get to do that with people and it's so fun.
That is a fun exercise.
It's fun. But if you want to get to know me, not a lot of people have said that to me.
Yeah.
I think people know me as a nonprofit leader and co-founder. But beyond that, not a lot of people take the time to get to know me. It's kind of lonely. I'm not going to lie.
There's a reason that phrase lonely at the top exists when you're a leader.
But it existed before that because, like I said, people didn't know how to hold space. So Michael and I have gone through a lot of things in our marriage with our kids and lost entire groups of friends through traumatic events that have happened to our family, and lost family and friends when Evie died because they didn't know what to say. And I think they still don't. But when you have family that doesn't check on you, and friends that don't come around because they are scared, I think people think suicide's contagious. And it can be. I mean, there is, if you don't have post-vention care for suicide, then yes. But in general, just for taking care of people who have gone through something tragic, people don't know how to do that. And it scares them. They just don't know what to say, so they don't say anything. And it's a big life running a nonprofit. It's a big life throwing big events or going on TV. And people assume because I can do all that I'm fine. But a lot of times I'm not. And I think even when you try to tell people, they're like, well, you know how to help people, so you're fine.
I can relate to that.
Yeah. And I never had suicidal thoughts before Evie died. But I deal with that now. And so if I'm saying, hey, I'm not okay right now, I'm really not. Yeah. But my circle's pretty small. I know a lot of people, but the circle of people that check on me is small. It is a lonely road. It's hard to say. And I thought a lot about, will I say that on the podcast? Because it's scary to say that.
It's very honest, though, and authentic.
It's just the truth. You know, I have a few people that I talk to, but you know you have a good friend if they can see you and say, are you okay? And then you're like, yeah, I'm okay. But then they ask you again. And I had this conversation with my friend Samantha recently because she'll ask twice because she knows. And it's always that second ask. We were talking about that the other day. It's that second ask.
It is.
Because it's like, oh.
It's a casual greeting until the second ask, right?
Right. It's like, oh, you actually.
You really want to know.
You actually want to know. That's when you can have the real conversation, I think. But people, yeah, they just get so used to saying, I'm fine.
I've done it.
Yeah.
Until I'm not. And then when I finally, probably about 2 years ago, I looked at my mom one day and I said, I'm not okay. Yeah. And she just looked at me and she was like, what do you mean? And I said, I might act like it, but I'm really not okay.
Yeah.
I'm really struggling. Like I don't know what's next for me. And I'm not okay. I'm not happy. I'm not, I can fake it. Right. But I'm not okay. And so she's a problem solver. So she really, really, really struggled with me telling her that. It was, she didn't know how to hold space. She starts trying to fix it. And God love her, she's my mom. Of course she wants to fix it, right?
Right.
But I looked at her and I said, I think I just needed to tell you that. I don't need you to fix it.
Right.
I think I just needed you to hear me say that. And I think I needed to say it out loud.
Yeah, there's something about saying it out loud.
Right.
Right.
And it kind of shook me to go, okay, what do I need to do to be okay?
And then you can have that conversation.
But I needed to be the one to say it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that has anything to do with the work that you do, but for me, that was kind of how I started to gradually get myself out of the hole that I felt like I was in, was by saying it out loud to some people that I knew cared about me. I'm not okay.
Yeah.
And they were like, okay. Like they weren't sure
Now
what to
what?
do with it. Now what? Yeah. But
Yeah.
just saying it out loud helped me
Yeah.
acknowledge it.
I've had those conversations with my mom.
Yeah.
We have a little pact that if we're not okay, we're reaching out.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about it.
Good.
And we did not have that before Evie died. You know, I love my mom so much. We did grow up like, sorry, Mom, but we grew up with everything's fine. And sometimes things weren't fine, but we weren't going to show that to people. And so we have an agreement now that we're not going to pretend we're okay. So I can go to her and honestly say, Mom, I'm struggling. Like, and I've had to go over to her house and say, I'm having some thoughts and I need you to hear me and help me. And she's a good listener.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And she has a beautiful heart. And I just feel lucky. I'm so glad we moved to Tyler to be close. And she's saved my life more than once just by being there. So if I can be that for somebody else, I'm going to.
But you're also taking care of yourself to help take care of others, right?
Most of the time.
Most of the time.
I mean, let's be honest.
I mean, I'm just...
we're not, as people who are trying to take care of other people, we don't always take care of ourselves. We don't put ourselves first. I'm learning how to. I am a work in progress.
That's where I was going with this.
I am a work in progress. But I know when those cracks start happening and you know, they start happening and then there's a little more cracks. And you know, when you're at the verge of, oh, if I don't take a break, if I don't stop and take care of myself, it's not going to be pretty.
Right. It's going to shatter.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. This isn't going to be graceful. So I'm learning to take care of myself earlier. It's really hard when you're planning a major event, obviously.
Yes. Yes.
But setting boundaries, I think over the past year is the first time I've ever tried to set boundaries with people. I just was horrible at it. Because I thought, oh man, what if they don't love me? Yeah. What if I set that boundary? Because boundaries are uncomfortable.
They are uncomfortable.
They're uncomfortable for you. They're uncomfortable for other people. And I think I had to just finally say, man, if I don't set some boundaries with some things, I'm not going to be okay. And I have to be okay because I'm doing some big things. But it's going to make people uncomfortable. And that's their problem, not mine, which is hard to say. I am a people pleaser. And so saying, well, if they're uncomfortable with those boundaries, that's really on them. I'm not in charge of their reaction to my boundary.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a tough one, though. I can relate to that, too. I have a tendency to people please and want people to like me. That's a natural human thing, right? Most people want other people to like them. So to tell somebody no, or I'm not available for that right now, I'm a work in progress there, too. I've been practicing it, though, and it gets easier with practice.
But it's okay to say no to stuff.
It is.
With no explanation.
No is a complete sentence?
No is a complete sentence. Teach it to your daughters.
Yes.
You don't have to explain yourself. It's nobody's business why you're saying no, which is hard as a people pleaser.
It is.
Because you just want to explain why and make everybody okay. But you're not in charge of making everybody okay.
Right. I'm learning to say thank you and no thank you.
Right.
Basically. Just thank you so much for the invitation. I'm not going to be able to make it. Yeah.
Well, why? I'm just not free.
Yeah, I'm not available. I have another commitment.
Maybe your commitment is self-care and you're curled up on the couch with a good meal and a movie with your husband or a friend because you need that to survive.
Yes.
And so, sometimes it's about self-care, but sometimes it's literally about survival.
And it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Letting that one sit for a second.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being so vulnerable and open.
Of course.
I mean, I see that and feel that from you and have pretty much from the moment that we sat down earlier this week. It takes a lot to do that in front of a microphone and know that other people are going to hear it. It takes a lot of courage.
It's scary.
It is.
I mean, I'll be honest, it's scary. It's scary to think, man, there's people out there that don't like me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, talking about people pleasing, but you can't please everybody.
Nope.
You're going to do things people don't like. You're going to make decisions people don't like. And people just sometimes just don't like you.
And sometimes they're just angry people.
Sometimes.
Or they've got something really unsettling happening within them and they
Right.
project it onto you.
Right. Or they have trauma.
Yes. But it doesn't mean it's our responsibility to take care of their trauma.
Nope. Or apologize for things you haven't done.
Right.
Or apologize to people for their reaction to your boundaries or for you just living your life.
Right.
Which is hard.
It is hard.
But yeah, I'm trying and struggling through to the other side of getting to the point where I'm okay if people don't like me. Because not everybody's going to like you. Let's be realistic. Mm-hmm. But, it's so gross.
I know.
It's so hard. It's so hard.
I think I shared with you earlier this week that I was on the radio for 20 years here in East Texas.
Yes.
One of my mentors when I was in my 20s, he's still my good friend. We have a second podcast. I have this podcast and I have another podcast with him. It's called The Unknown Morning Show, because I did middays and he did afternoons. And we had this one time daily where we would pass the microphone. I would pass it off to him at the end of my shift. And we joked that we'd be really great at a morning show. Well, we tried it once when our morning guy was on vacation and we were terrible. So that never happened. And then a podcast happened like 15 years later. But Chuck gave me this advice. He said, as a public figure, 50% of the people are going to love you and 50% of the people are going to hate you.
Oh, God, I was just trying to get okay with the 2%.
And
like
you just have to accept it. Yeah. He said people are not
Mandee.
going to like the way you sound. They're
Right.
not going to like what you say. They might be jealous because they never got the opportunity to be the person that's on the radio or whatever. Like make it an ego thing. And it blew my mind. And I was like, but everybody loves Mandee, you know, just like, because we all want to be loved
Literally,
and valued.
who could not like you?
Well, that's
You're
very
pretty awesome.
kind. Thank you. That's very kind. I feel that way about you too.
Thank you.
But it was a good thing for me to learn at an early age in a career where people can put you on a pedestal
Yeah,
and people can knock you off of it.
sure.
And so it gave me a real good grounding of, I'm just going to do what I do at the highest level that I can do it. I'm going to be true to who I am. I'm going to work hard and I'm going to care about people. And then I'm going to let the rest of it be what it is. Like I'm not in control.
You're not in control.
And that's a hard thing for me to accept too, because you mentioned being a workhorse earlier. I can be that way too. And I like to be like, okay, check off my list, get it all done. But I can't control how people react to me. I can't control if they like what I do or what I say or what I don't say.
Right. I mean, that's one of the big life lessons,
It's so hard.
especially if you're living your purpose. You have to be focused on that. And if you spend all your time worried about if people like you, oh, that's wasted time, because you can't change it. Are you going to go beg them to like you?
No.
It's also kind of like, I mean, people not liking you, if you think of it as doors, right? Somebody not liking you, that's a closed door. But there's an open door over here. Go where you're invited. Spend your
love
time
that.
where you're invited. Oh, those doors shut. Well, maybe that chapter's over and these doors are open. Go through those doors.
Sometimes I think of those closed doors as protection.
Absolutely. I said that to my husband this week. Sometimes doors close because it's not your path anymore. You're being protected. It's negative energy. And if you're living in purpose and doing something big like a nonprofit, you have to live in the positive,
Absolutely.
because it's a lot of work. And suicide prevention, mental health is a big topic. So you have to protect your own mental health through that and go through the door that's open. Okay, well, I thought this was going to work out. Well, okay, that didn't. Or that person doesn't want to be my friend. Okay. But the door opens for 3 more friends, new friends, and do that. Sometimes people walk with you for a purpose and either to project you to the next level or help you with a problem, be your friend. And sometimes that's a mile-long journey. Sometimes it's a marathon. And sometimes it's a lifetime person. And maybe they were just there to make something happen. I really believe people are put on our path for a reason.
I do too.
And it's usually for a lesson or help or that spark of hope that you need to keep going. And those spark of hope people, man, I like those people.
I do too. I do too.
We need more of those.
And you're equipping them.
I'm trying.
I know you are.
I'm trying.
I think that's a really beautiful place for us to wrap up. So tell me where people can find you if they want to connect, whether that is for getting involved in a workshop or if they want to participate. I know you've got some big events coming up.
We do.
Yeah.
evieeffect.org.
Okay.
Everything's on there. We have an event page, so everything that's coming up from community fundraisers for us to our 5K that's coming up in April to Evie Rocks Tyler workshops, it's all on that page. You can see everything that's going on or connect through us through Instagram or Facebook. Facebook is our biggest platform for social media. It's where we have the most interaction, and we're posting all the time about what's going on. So follow us there and see what we're doing. Connect with us. You can volunteer from our page. You can just reach out.
Oh, it's beautiful. Thank you so much for making time for this today. This has been such a pleasure. I feel so honored by your honesty and your vulnerability, and I'm excited to have a new friend.
I'm excited to be your friend. I think you're amazing, and I'm just really grateful for this time with you.
The Celebrating Women podcast wants to hear from you. Email us a voice message to celebratingwomenpodcast@gmail.com. We would love to hear your story or the story of an incredible woman you know. Become part of the conversation on social media. Facebook.com/Celebrating Women Podcast. On Instagram, search Celebrating Women Podcast. The Celebrating Women Podcast has been presented by Hand and Stone Massage and Facial Spa in Tyler, Texas. Book your appointment today. Stop by the spa in Cumberland Shopping Center or online at handandstonetyler.com. Support the show for as little as $3 per month at celebratingwomenpodcast.buzzsprout.com or visit our show notes. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to subscribe to the Celebrating Women Podcast.